The Coalition flagship was enormous. It made human ships look like toys. Dr. Mi-Ray Song walked through its corridors feeling small. She was a xenobiologist. Her job was to study alien life forms, but she had never studied anything like the Reaper before. "This way, Dr. Song," said a Vexor guard. His voice came through a translator device. "The prisoner is in the containment bay." Mi-Ray followed him deeper into the ship. Other scientists walked with her. None of them were human. They whispered to each other in languages she did not understand. They looked excited. They were about to see the galaxy's greatest monster up close. The containment bay was circular and white. In the center floated a stasis pod. Inside the pod was the Reaper. His armor was black and covered in strange symbols. His helmet showed no face, just a smooth dark surface that reflected nothing. Mi-Ray stepped closer to the pod. Her scanning device beeped softly. She read the data and frowned. Something was wrong. "Dr. Song?" Another scientist approached her. He was a Kelon, with 4 arms and crystal skin. "What do you see?" "The biological readings," Mi-Ray said carefully. "They are strange." "Strange how?" Mi-Ray did not answer. She could not, because the readings showed something impossible. Something that made her heart beat faster. The life signs inside that armor were familiar. Too familiar. Meanwhile, on the Indomitable, Lieutenant Dae-Jung Kim was having his own problem. He was chief of security. His job was to keep the ship safe. But right now nothing felt safe. "Lieutenant," said one of his officers, "the encrypted channels are active again." Dae-Jung looked at the communication logs. For 3 days, Earth's military had been sending coded messages through secret channels. Messages that only certain people could read. Messages that bypassed normal diplomatic channels. "Can you decode them?" Dae-Jung asked. "No, sir. The encryption is too advanced. It is military grade. Way above our level." Dae-Jung stared at the screen. Why was Earth's military so active right now? What were they preparing for? He decided to find Ambassador Tae-Jin. The old diplomat would have answers. He had to. Soo-Jin Lee sat in the communications room of the Indomitable. She was good at her job. Maybe too good. She had discovered something that scared her. The encrypted Earth signals were not just messages. They were countdown timers, and all of them pointed to the same moment. The unmasking ceremony. What happens when the countdown reaches 0? She whispered to herself. No one answered. She was alone in the room. But she had a terrible feeling that when those timers reached 0, nothing would be the same. The next day, the Coalition made an announcement. They would hold a public ceremony. The Reaper would be unmasked in front of representatives from every member species. The ceremony would be broadcast across the entire galaxy. Ambassador Tae-Jin tried to stop it. He stood before the Coalition Council in their grand chamber. Holographic projections of council members surrounded him. Each one represented a different race. Each one had the power to decide the fate of worlds. "I must advise caution," Tae-Jin said. His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly. "We do not know enough about the Reaper yet. Perhaps we should study him first before revealing him to the public." "Nonsense," Admiral Kwan replied. His image floated above Tae-Jin. "The people need to see. They need to know the monster is caught. They need to see justice." "But there are diplomatic protocols," Tae-Jin continued. "Security concerns. What if this is a trap?" A council member who looked like a floating jellyfish spoke next. Her voice was high and musical. "Ambassador Choi, we understand you are cautious. Humans are new to galactic politics. But we have experience. We know how to handle prisoners. The ceremony will proceed." Tae-Jin bowed his head. He had lost. "As you wish, Council." That night, Hyunwoo found Tae-Jin sitting alone in an observation room. The old ambassador stared out at the stars. He looked defeated. "Sir," Hyunwoo said quietly, "you know something. Please tell me what is happening." Tae-Jin was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "How much do you know about Earth's history with the Coalition?" "We joined 50 years ago. We were invited because we developed faster-than-light travel." "That is the official story," Tae-Jin said. "But there is more, much more. Before we joined the Coalition, we were alone. We expanded into space. We built colonies. We thought we were safe." He paused. His voice became softer. "We were wrong." "What happened?" "There was an empire called the Sovereignty. They were powerful, brutal. They found our colony on New Sol. 4 million people lived there. Families. children. The sovereignty did not care. They attacked without warning. They wanted slaves. They thought humans would be easy to conquer. Hyunwoo felt cold. I never heard about this. The government kept it secret. The coalition refused to help us. They said it was not their problem, not their jurisdiction. Taejin's hands formed fists. So Earth decided we would help ourselves. We would make sure no one ever attacked humanity again. How? Taejin looked at Hyunwoo. His eyes were full of pain. By creating something so terrifying that the entire galaxy would learn to leave us alone. Before Hyunwoo could ask more, alarms blared through the ship. Jiwoo's voice came over the speakers. All senior officers to the bridge. Immediately they ran to the bridge. When they arrived, the main screen showed the coalition flagship. Something was happening there. Ships were gathering around it. What is going on? Jiwoo demanded. Sujin looked up from her station. Her face was white. The ceremony is starting early. Admiral Kwan moved up the schedule. They are unmasking the Reaper right now. No, Taejin whispered. It is too soon. We are not ready. Ready for what? Hyunwoo asked. Taejin did not answer. He just stared at the screen. The broadcast began. Billions of people across the galaxy watched. The Coalition Council stood in a great hall. In the center was the Reaper, still in stasis. His black armor gleamed under the lights. Admiral Kwan stepped forward. People of the galaxy, he announced. Today you will see the face of evil. Today you will see the monster who killed millions. Today the nightmare ends. He reached for the helmet. His clawed hands gripped the smooth black surface. On the Indomitable, every human officer held their breath. Dr. Mi-rae-song watched from the crowd in the hall. She wanted to shout, to stop this. Her scans had shown the truth. But no one had listened. Sujin Lee watched her screen as the countdown timers reached 0. All at once, every encrypted Earth channel went silent. Daijung Kim watched his security monitors. Human ships across the fleet were powering up weapons, while Hyunwoo watched the broadcast. He saw Ambassador Taejin close his eyes. As if unable to watch, Jiwoo watched her crew. Every human on the bridge looked terrified, but not surprised. They knew something. Something she had not been told. Admiral Kwan pulled off the helmet. The face underneath was human. He was young, maybe 30 years old. He had short black hair and dark eyes. Scars covered his face, but he was clearly, undeniably human. For a moment, the galaxy stood still. Then chaos erupted. Alien representatives screamed. Guards drew weapons. Holographic screens exploded with messages and accusations. The broadcast showed aliens yelling at the human delegation, showing rage and horror and betrayal. On the Indomitable, Jiwoo turned to Taejin. Who is he? Taejin's voice was barely a whisper. His name is Jinho Kwan. He was one of our best soldiers. 16 years ago, we sent him on a mission. He looked at the screen, at the young man in stasis who had terrorized the galaxy. We sent him to become the Reaper. The stars outside suddenly seemed darker. The celebration from yesterday was gone. Now there was only one question on everyone's mind. If humans could create the Reaper, what else were they capable of? The stars looked different from the bridge of the Indomitable. Commander Hyunwoo Park stood near the window, watching 47 warships move through space like a school of deadly fish. Each ship belonged to a different alien race. Each one had come here for the same reason, to hunt the Reaper. For 15 years, the Reaper had haunted the galaxy. Entire star systems went dark when he appeared. Millions died. No one knew what the Reaper looked like. No one knew where he came from. The only thing everyone knew was fear. Captain Jiwoo Han walked across the bridge, her boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. She stopped next to Hyunwoo and crossed her arms. You look worried, she said. I am worried, Hyunwoo replied. He did not look at her. His eyes stayed on the alien ships outside. Something feels wrong about this. Jiwoo raised an eyebrow. We finally found the Reaper after all these years. The entire coalition fleet is here. What could be wrong? Hyunwoo shook his head slowly. That is what worries me. Why now? Why did we find him now? Before Jiwoo could answer, Ambassador Taejin Choi appeared behind them. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been Earth's voice in the Galactic Coalition for 20 years. Captain Han, Commander Park, the Coalition wants to speak with all human officers. Please come to the conference room. They followed him through the narrow corridors of the ship. Other crew members moved past them quickly. Everyone knew this was the day. Today they would face the Reaper. Today the nightmare would end. The conference room was small and crowded. Screens covered the walls, showing views of the other coalition ships. Alien faces stared out from those screens. Some had 6 eyes, some had scales. Some looked like rocks with mouths, but they all wore the same expression: pride. Admiral Quan appeared on the largest screen. He belonged to a race called the Vexor. His people had been part of the coalition for 300 years. He looked at the human officers with something like pity. "Humans," he said. His voice was deep and rough. "Your ships will stay in the back during the attack. We know you are new to this. We know you are not as strong as other races. Let the experienced warriors handle this threat." Hyunwoo felt his jaw tighten. 50 years. That was how long humans had been part of the Galactic Coalition. 50 years of being treated like children, like weaklings. The other races had faster ships, stronger weapons, better armor. They never let humans forget it. "We understand," Ambassador Taejin said carefully. His face showed nothing. "Earth ships will support from the rear." The screen went dark. The meeting was over. "Support from the rear," Jiwoo repeated. Her voice was bitter. "They mean stay out of the way." Taejin looked at both of them. For a moment, something strange passed across his face, something that looked like sadness. "Just do as they ask," he said quietly. "Please." Hours passed. The fleet moved deeper into the void nebula. This was where the Reaper had been hiding. The nebula was thick with gas and dust. It made sensors useless. It made visibility terrible. Perfect place for an ambush. Hyunwoo sat at his station watching the scanner. The coalition ships moved forward in formation. The human vessels stayed behind just as ordered. He felt useless. He felt angry. Then the Reaper appeared. The ship came out of the nebula like a ghost. It was massive and black and wrong. The shape kept changing. One moment it looked smooth. The next moment it had spikes. It did not follow the normal rules of ship design. It looked alive. "All ships attack." Admiral Kwan's voice boomed through the communications. The coalition fleet opened fire. Energy beams and missiles filled space with light. The explosions were beautiful and terrible. The Reaper's ship moved through the attacks like water. It twisted and bent. Weapons that should have destroyed it barely left marks. Then the Reaper fired back. 3 coalition ships exploded in seconds. Just gone. Erased from existence. The other ships scattered, trying to avoid the Reaper's weapons. But those weapons were unlike anything Hyunwoo had ever seen. They bent through space. They followed targets. They seemed to know where ships would move before the ships moved. "Maintain position," Jiwoo ordered the crew. "Wait for instructions." The battle raged for 3 hours. 12 coalition ships were destroyed. The Reaper's vessel took damage but kept fighting. Admiral Kwan ordered attack after attack. The different alien races worked together perfectly. They had been doing this for centuries. Finally, the Vexor flagship managed to disable the Reaper's engines. 4 other ships surrounded it immediately. They locked it in place with gravity beams. The Reaper's ship stopped moving. It stopped fighting. Silence fell across the fleet. "Target is captured," Admiral Kwan announced. His voice was filled with triumph. "The Reaper is ours." Cheering erupted on the communication channels. Ships from every race celebrated. The nightmare was over. The monster was caught. On the bridge of the Indomitable, there was no cheering. Hyunwoo stared at his screen. He had been reviewing data from the past 15 years. Data about every Reaper attack. And he had found something impossible. "Captain," he said slowly, "I need to show you something." Jiwoo came to his station. He brought up a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked every place the Reaper had attacked. Hundreds of them. Star systems across coalition space. "Look at this," Hyunwoo said. He added blue dots to the map. Each blue dot was a human colony. There were 37 of them. Jiwoo stared at the map. The red dots and blue dots did not overlap, not once. Not even close. "The Reaper attacked everywhere," Hyunwoo whispered. "Everywhere except near human space. In 15 years, he never touched a single human colony. Not one." Jiwoo's face went pale. "That is impossible unless he was avoiding us on purpose," Hyunwoo finished. They looked at each other. The same terrible thought formed in both their minds. Ambassador Taejin entered the bridge at that moment. He saw the map on the screen. He saw their faces. His shoulders slumped. "You figured it out," Taejin said. It was not a question. "Sir?" Jiwoo asked. "What is going on? Why would the Reaper avoid human colonies? Taejin closed his eyes. He suddenly looked very old. The Coalition is planning a ceremony. They want to unmask the Reaper in front of the whole galaxy. They want everyone to see the monster's face. That is good news, is it not? Hyunwoo asked. But he already knew the answer. No, Taejin said. It is not good news. When they remove that mask, everything will change. The galaxy will learn what humans really are, and they will never look at us the same way again. Outside the window, the Coalition fleet celebrated their victory. They had no idea what was coming. They had no idea that the true horror was not the Reaper they had caught. The true horror was what his capture would reveal. Ambassador Taejin Choi walked through the corridors of the Coalition flagship one last time. He was going to see Jinho Kwon, to tell him the Council's decision. Jinho already knew, of course. The man had spent 15 years surviving impossible situations. He would understand what came next. The detention cell was quiet. Jinho sat by the window watching the stars. He looked peaceful. More peaceful than Taejin had felt in years. They made their decision, Taejin said as he entered. I know. Jinho did not look away from the stars. The Reaper must die. It is a fair ending, is it? Taejin sat down heavily. You gave everything for us. And this is how we repay you? Jinho finally turned to look at him. Old friend, you did not ask me to volunteer. I chose this path. Every step of the way I chose it. He smiled slightly. Besides, I'm already dying. The Council is just making it quicker. Maybe that is mercy. Do you have any regrets? Jinho thought about this question for a long time. Yes, I regret that I had to kill so many. I regret that I became the nightmare I needed to be. I regret that I will never see Earth again, that I will never taste real food or feel rain on my face. He paused. But I do not regret protecting our people. I do not regret making sure no other human child dies like Bora's children died. Taejin felt tears on his face. He did not try to hide them. You were the best of us. No, Jinho said gently. I was the most willing. There is a difference. The best of us are the ones who never had to make the choices I made. The ones who get to live normal lives because I made sure they could. They sat in silence for a while, just two men who had carried the weight of humanity's survival in different ways. The Council gave you a choice, Taejin finally said. How you want to die. They will honor any request within reason. I want to die as a soldier, Jinho replied immediately. Not executed. Not in a cell. I want to choose my own end.
Can they grant that?
Yes, they agreed to let you have a private death. No audience, no ceremony, just you alone when you are ready. Jinho nodded. Good, then I have one more request. Tell my story honestly. Do not make me a hero. Do not make me a monster. Just tell the truth. Let people decide for themselves what I was. I will, Taejin promised. They talked for hours after that. About Earth, about the people they had known, about the world before everything changed. For those few hours, Jinho was not the Reaper. He was just a man, just a soldier who missed home. Meanwhile, Captain Ji Woo-han received new orders from Earth. All human ships were to return to human space. The Coalition had agreed to a temporary separation. Humans would keep to their territory. Other species would keep to theirs. Give everyone time to adjust to the new reality. So we are leaving, Lieutenant Dae Jung Kim said. He stood on the bridge watching the alien ships outside, running away. We are not running, Jiwoo corrected. We are giving them space to process what they learned, and giving ourselves space to decide what comes next. Hyunwoo stood nearby. Do you think they will attack us eventually? Try to destroy us before we become too dangerous? I do not know, Jiwoo admitted. But I know this. If they do attack, they will learn that Jinho Kwon was not the only card we had to play. He was just the one we showed them. Hyunwoo thought about the secret facilities on Earth, the underground bases, the classified programs. Jinho had been one soldier, one mission. If humanity had more secrets, more weapons, more plans, the galaxy had good reason to be afraid. Dr. Mireille Song visited Jinho one last time. She brought medicine to ease his pain, not to keep him alive longer, just to make the time he had left more comfortable. You could come back to Earth, she said as she checked his vital signs. We could try to reverse some of the modifications, maybe extend your life. To what end? Jinho asked. I have no place on Earth anymore. I have been the Reaper for too long. I would not fit in normal society. I would be a reminder of what humanity is capable of. It is better this way, Mireille understood, but it still hurt. Did you ever feel alone? Out there in the darkness for 15 years? Every single day, Jinho admitted. But I thought about Earth, about children playing in parks, about families sleeping safely, about young soldiers like me who did not have to make the choices I made. That kept me going. You saved us, Mireille said softly. No, I bought us time. I made them afraid. But humanity will have to save itself. I can only hope I gave you enough time to become strong enough to stand on your own. The day came when all human ships prepared to leave. Ambassador Tae-jin had one final meeting with the Coalition Council. The atmosphere was different now. There was respect. And fear. We have agreed to your terms, Admiral Kwan said. Human space will be left alone. In exchange, you will stay within your borders. For now, Tae-jin said. But understand this. We are not prisoners in our own territory. We are choosing to give you space. If that changes, if you threaten us again, you will remember what happened to the sovereignty. Is that a threat? It is a promise. Tae-jin looked around at all the different species. You wanted to know what humans are. Now you know. We are the species that will do anything to protect our own. We are the species that turned one man into a nightmare that terrified the galaxy. We are the species you should never ever underestimate again. He turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. Jinho Kwan asked me to tell you something. He said, I am sorry for what I became, but I am not sorry for what I saved. With that, Ambassador Tae-jin Choi left the Coalition Council for the last time. Jinho Kwan died 3 days later. He died alone in his cell as he requested. He took his own life with dignity and control. One final choice in a life defined by impossible choices. They found a letter he had written. It was addressed to Earth, to humanity. Dr. Mireille Song read it first, then shared it with the world. To the people of Earth, the letter began. You did not ask me to do what I did. You did not know, and I am glad you did not. The burden should not have been yours. It was mine to carry. I volunteered to become the monster so you would not have to. I became the Reaper so you could remain human. If I succeeded, you will never need another person to do what I did. You will be strong enough to defend yourselves without becoming what I became. That is my hope. That is my dream. If you remember me at all, remember this. I did not do it for glory. I did not do it for thanks. I did it because someone had to. And I was willing. Take care of each other. Protect each other. But never forget what you are capable of when necessary. The galaxy is vast and full of dangers. But you are human. And humans survive, always, signed Jinho Kwan, former Major, the Reaper. The letter spread across Earth like wildfire. Some people cried. Some people celebrated. Some people argued about whether Jinho was a hero or a war criminal. But everyone understood. Humanity had changed. They were no longer the weak newcomers. They were the species that had created the Reaper. 1 year later, Ambassador Tae-jin Choi stood on a cliff overlooking the ocean on Earth. He was old now. Tired. His work was done. Human space was secure. The colonies were growing. New generations were being born who would never know the fear of being conquered. A memorial had been built nearby. A simple black stone with Jinho Kwan's name carved into it. No title, no decorations. Just his name and dates of birth and death. People came to leave flowers. To pay respects. To argue about his legacy. The debate would probably never end. But that was okay. Jinho had not wanted to be forgotten, just understood. Tae-jin placed his own flowers at the memorial. We did it, he whispered. They leave us alone now. No attacks, no threats. You succeeded, Jinho. Rest now. The wind carried his words away. In the Coalition Council, new policies were being written, new treaties with humanity. The other species had learned their lesson, some through fear, some through respect. But all of them understood. Humans were not to be threatened, not to be attacked, not to be underestimated. They are watching us, Admiral Kwan said during one meeting. He was older now, too. The stress of the past year had aged him. The humans. They sit in their space and watch us. Building, preparing, we cannot see what they are doing. But I know they are doing something. Should we be worried? Another council member asked. We should be cautious, Admiral Kwan replied. They showed us one weapon. The Reaper. Who knows what else they have? Who knows what else they are capable of? Maybe we should attack them first. before they grow too powerful. No. Admiral Kwan's voice was firm. That is exactly what they want us to think. They want us to fear them, to respect them, but also to leave them alone. If we attack, we prove we learned nothing, and they will show us whatever they have been keeping in reserve. I do not want to see what is worse than the Reaper. And so the galaxy found a new balance, a new peace, built not on trust but on mutual deterrence. Humanity had shown its teeth. The other species had learned to be careful. On Earth, in the secret facilities, Colonel Young Sik Bay watched new soldiers train. They were preparing for a future no one wanted but everyone feared. He thought about Jin-Ho often, the young man who had volunteered to become a nightmare. "Sir," a young officer approached. "The new class is ready. Should we begin the advanced training?" Young Sik looked at the soldiers. They were brave, determined, just like Jin-Ho had been. "No," he said finally. "Not yet." The emergency session began 2 hours after the unmasking. Every species in the Galactic Coalition sent representatives. The Grand Chamber was full of angry voices. The air smelled like fear and rage. Ambassador Tae Jin Choi stood in the center of it all, alone. Other human diplomats had offered to stand with him. He had told them to stay on their ships. This was his burden to carry. Admiral Kwan slammed his fist on the podium. "Explain yourself, human." "The Reaper destroyed 43 worlds. He killed over 30 million beings. And he was yours all along." Tae Jin did not flinch. He had prepared for this moment for 16 years. "I will explain everything. But first you must understand our history." "We do not care about your history," shouted a council member. She was a Kelon with crystals that glowed red with anger. "You unleashed a monster on the galaxy." "Yes," Tae Jin said simply. "We did, and I will tell you why." The chamber fell silent. Tae Jin activated a holographic display. It showed a beautiful planet covered in blue oceans and green land. "This is New Sol," Tae Jin began. "It was humanity's third colony world. We established it 67 years ago. 4 million people lived there. They were farmers, teachers, engineers, families." His voice grew harder. 17 years ago, the sovereignty found them. The hologram changed. It showed warships descending on the planet, then fire, then death. "The sovereignty wanted slaves," Tae Jin continued. "They thought humans would be easy to break, easy to control. They were wrong. But before our people could fight back, the sovereignty killed them. All of them. 4 million people died in 3 days. Some of the alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. A few looked away from the images. "We came to you," Tae Jin said. He looked directly at Admiral Kwan. "Earth came to the Coalition and begged for help. We asked you to stop the sovereignty. Do you remember what you told us?" Admiral Kwan's face showed no emotion. The sovereignty was not a coalition member. Their actions were not our concern. "Not your concern," Tae Jin repeated. 4 million dead, and it was not your concern. So Earth learned an important lesson that day. We learned that we could only trust ourselves. We learned that the galaxy saw us as weak. As prey, he changed the hologram again. This time it showed Earth's moon. Hidden military facilities. Underground laboratories. "We created a program," Tae Jin said. "We called it the Reaper Protocol." The goal was simple. Make humanity so frightening that no one would ever attack us again. Make them fear us more than they feared anything else. On the Indomitable, Hyun-woo watched the broadcast with his crew. Ji-woo stood next to him. Her face was pale. "Did you know?" she asked quietly. "No," Hyun-woo replied. "I knew there were secret programs. Every military has secrets, but this? Never." On Earth, Colonel Young Sik Bay watched from his office at Earth Defense Command. He had been part of the Reaper Protocol from the beginning. He had helped select the candidates. He had watched them train. He had said goodbye to Jin-Ho Kwan 16 years ago, knowing the young soldier would never truly come home. Now the whole galaxy knew their secret. Now everything would change. A journalist named Haewon Jung watched from her apartment in Seoul. She was already writing the story. Already preparing questions. The government had lied to everyone. The truth was uglier than anyone imagined. Back in the coalition chamber, Tae Jin continued his explanation. "We needed someone special for this mission. Someone intelligent. Someone ruthless. Someone willing to sacrifice everything for humanity's future." The hologram showed a young soldier in uniform, Jin-Ho Kwan before he became the Reaper. He looked normal. "He looked kind," Major Jin-Ho Kwan volunteered. Tae Jin said. "He understood what we needed. We gave him surgical enhancements, advanced technology, psychological conditioning. We gave him a ship that could adapt and change, weapons that could destroy anything. And we sent him into the darkness with one mission: make them afraid, so he murdered millions, Admiral Kwan shouted. For 15 years he spread terror. He attacked the sovereignty first, Tae-jin replied. His voice was ice. He destroyed their military bases, their weapons factories, their command centers. Yes, people died. But they were the same people who killed 4 million humans and laughed about it. Jinho made them stop laughing. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species demanded justice, others demanded answers. A few stayed quiet, remembering their own dark histories. Tae-jin raised his voice above the chaos. The sovereignty collapsed after 3 years. They surrendered. They begged for mercy. And Jinho gave them the same mercy they gave New Seoul. None. What about the other attacks? Someone shouted. The Reaper attacked many species, not just the sovereignty. He attacked your allies, Tae-jin said. Species that traded with the sovereignty. Species that supported them. Species that looked the other way when genocide happened. Jinho made sure everyone understood. If you hurt humans, you pay the price. If you help those who hurt humans, you pay the price. Dr. Mi-rae Song stood in the audience listening. She thought about her scans of Jinho's body. The modifications were killing him. His organs were failing. He had maybe 6 months left to live. He had always been on a one-way mission. Lieutenant Dae-jung Kim stood outside the chamber with other security officers. Human and alien guards stood together, but now there was distance between them. Suspicion. The aliens looked at the human guards differently now. Inside the stasis pod, Jinho Kwan remained motionless. His eyes were closed. He could not hear the arguments about him, but perhaps he could feel them. Perhaps some part of him knew that his mission was almost complete. You could have told us, Admiral Kwan said. You could have worked with the coalition. Tae-jin laughed. It was a bitter sound. Would you have helped us? Would you have stopped the sovereignty if we asked nicely? You already showed us your answer. So we solved the problem ourselves. By becoming monsters? By becoming what we needed to be, Tae-jin corrected. You called us weak. You said humans were soft, emotional, fragile. You invited us to join the coalition so you could use our resources, our planets, our people. You thought we would be grateful, that we would obey. He stepped closer to Admiral Kwan. The alien was twice his size, but Tae-jin showed no fear. Let me tell you what humans are, Tae-jin said softly. We are adaptable. We learn fast. We survive. And when you threaten our families, we become the thing you have nightmares about. For 15 years you hunted the Reaper. You called him a monster. You called him evil. But he was just a human protecting his people. The same way your species would protect yours. Admiral Kwan had no response. A council member who looked like a bird spoke next. Her voice was calmer. What do you want, Ambassador? Why tell us this now? Because the Reaper's mission is complete, Tae-jin replied. Look at the map. Look at human territory. In 15 years, how many times have we been attacked? He showed another hologram. Human colonies glowed blue across the galaxy. Red dots marked attacks by various hostile species. The red and blue never touched zero, Tae-jin said. 0 attacks on human worlds. 0 casualties. Because after the Reaper appeared, everyone learned to leave us alone. Mission accomplished. So this was all calculated, the bird-like council member said. A strategy. Yes, we studied your psychology. All of your species. We learned that fear works better than strength. You respect power. You fear the unknown. So we gave you the Reaper, a nightmare you could not understand, could not predict, could not stop. But we did stop him, Admiral Kwan said. We caught him. Tae-jin smiled. It was not a happy smile. Did you? Or did he let you catch him? Think about it. 15 years of perfect terror. 15 years of never being caught. Then suddenly he makes a mistake. Suddenly you capture him easily. The chamber went quiet. Everyone realized the horrible truth. He wanted to be caught, Tae-jin said. His mission was complete. Human space was secure. Now it was time for the next phase. Time for you to see his face. Time for you to understand what humans are really capable of. Captain Ji-woo Han turned off the broadcast. She could not watch anymore. She looked at her crew. Her human crew. They all wore the same expression. Pride mixed with shame. They were safe. Humanity was safe. but the cost had been terrible. "Captain," Hyun-woo said. "What happens now?" Ji-woo did not know. No one knew. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had shown its teeth. There was no going back. In the coalition chamber, Ambassador Tae-jin finished his speech. "So judge us if you want. Call us monsters. Call us evil. But remember this. We did what we had to do. We protected our people, and we will do it again if necessary." The Reaper was just one soldier, one mission, one warning. He let those words sink in. If this is what one human can do, imagine what all of humanity could do if you make us your enemy. The stars outside seemed colder now. The galaxy felt smaller. Humanity was no longer the weak newcomer. They were the predator everyone had failed to notice. And that changed everything. The Coalition Council called for a recess. They needed time to process what they had learned. Ambassador Tae-jin Choi was escorted to a secure waiting room. Guards stood outside, not to protect him, to make sure he did not leave. He sat alone in the white room and waited. He had said what needed to be said. Now the galaxy would decide humanity's fate. Meanwhile, Dr. Mi-rae Song finally got permission to examine Jin-ho Kwon properly. The stasis pod was moved to a medical bay. Other doctors surrounded it. But Mi-rae was the only human. "Begin the examination," said the lead Vexor doctor. His name was too complex for humans to pronounce. Mi-rae just called him Dr. Vex. They lowered Jin-ho out of stasis slowly. His eyes remained closed. His breathing was shallow. The armor had been removed. Underneath, he wore a simple gray suit. His body was covered in scars. Mi-rae's scanner beeped as she ran it over him. The readings made her sick. "His organs are failing," she said. "Multiple systems are shutting down." "From our weapons?" Dr. Vex asked. "No, from his own modifications." Mi-rae showed him the scans. "Look at his nervous system. It has been enhanced far beyond normal human capacity. His bones are reinforced with metal alloys. His muscles are synthetic hybrids. His brain has been integrated with computer systems." She paused. But the human body was not meant for this. His immune system is attacking the modifications. He is dying. How long does he have?
6 months.
Maybe less. Dr. Vex looked at Jin-ho with something that might have been respect. He knew this would happen. He chose to die slowly. He chose to complete his mission, Mi-rae corrected, no matter the cost. On Earth, Colonel Young-sik Bae stood in a secret bunker deep underground. Around him, dozens of soldiers trained in combat simulation rooms. They practiced with weapons no one had seen before. They learned to fight in ways that would terrify any enemy. These were the next generation. The ones who would be ready if humanity ever needed another Reaper. A young officer approached him. "Sir, the Coalition is voting on our status. Some species want us expelled. Some want sanctions. A few want war. Let them vote," Young-sik said. He watched a soldier complete an impossible combat drill. "They are afraid now. Good. Fear keeps people honest. But sir, what if they do attack us? What if this plan backfires?" Young-sik smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Then they will learn that Jin-ho Kwon was our warning shot. Not our only weapon." The journalist Hae-won Jung published her first article about the Reaper. It spread across Earth's networks like fire. People had known about the attacks on alien worlds. They had cheered when the Reaper was caught. Now they learned the truth. The reactions were mixed. Some people felt pride. Their species had defended itself. Others felt shame. Millions had died because of one human soldier. Hae-won sat in her office reading the comments flooding in. One message caught her attention. It was from a survivor of New Seoul, one of the few who had escaped the Sovereignty's attack. The message was simple. "Thank you for telling the truth, but also thank you to Jin-ho Kwon. He made sure my daughter would never face what I faced. He made sure no human child would be a slave. Judge him if you want. I will not." Back on the Coalition flagship, Jin-ho began to wake up. His eyes opened slowly. They were dark brown and completely calm. He looked around the medical bay without surprise, as if he had expected to wake up here. "Major Kwon," Dr. Mi-rae said softly in Korean.
Do you know where you are?
Jin-ho's voice was rough from disuse.
Coalition flagship.
"Medical bay, you are Dr. Song, from Earth." He spoke Korean as well. It sounded strange after so many years. "How long was I in stasis?" 4 days, he nodded slowly. "Then they know. They know what I am. The whole galaxy knows. Good. Jinho closed his eyes again. That was the plan? Mirai wanted to ask him so many questions. Why did he volunteer? How did he survive alone for so long? What did it feel like to become the monster the galaxy feared? But before she could speak, alarms blared. The medical bay doors flew open. Coalition guards rushed in with weapons drawn. The prisoner will be moved to detention, the lead guard announced. By order of the council. He needs medical care, Mirai protested. He will receive care in detention. The guard looked at Jinho without emotion. The council wants to question him. They transferred Jinho to a detention cell deep in the ship. The cell was small and bare. One window showed the stars outside. Guards stood watch at all times. Commander Hyunwoo Park requested permission to visit him. To his surprise, the coalition granted it. The cell door opened. Hyunwoo stepped inside. Jinho sat on the narrow bed looking at the stars. He did not turn when Hyunwoo entered. Major Kwon, Hyunwoo said. He did not know what else to say. You can call me Jinho. I am not a major anymore. I am not anything anymore. Jinho finally turned. His eyes met Hyunwoo's. You are Commander Park, I read about you. You questioned the mission. You noticed the patterns. How did you know that? I have been monitoring all human communications for 16 years. I know everything that happens in human space. Jinho smiled slightly. I had to make sure I was still protecting you all. Even from a distance, Hyunwoo sat down across from him. Why did you do it? Why volunteer for this? Jinho looked back at the stars. I had a sister. Her name was Bo-Ra. She lived on New Seoul with her husband and their 2 children. My niece was 6. My nephew was 3. His voice stayed steady, but Hyunwoo heard the pain underneath. The sovereignty killed them all. I saw the recordings. I saw what they did before they killed them. Hyunwoo said nothing. What could anyone say? When Earth created the Reaper Protocol, I volunteered immediately. Jinho continued. The scientists said the modifications would kill me eventually. They said the isolation would drive me insane. They said I would become something not quite human. He looked at Hyunwoo. I told them I did not care. As long as no other human child died the way my niece and nephew died. As long as no other family burned the way mine burned. Was it worth it? Hyunwoo asked. 15 years alone. Becoming the monster. Was it worth it? Jinho thought about this. Yes, because human colonies are safe now. Because children play on worlds like New Seoul without fear. Because the galaxy learned we are not prey. He paused. I gave up my humanity so that all of humanity could be free. I would make the same choice again. Captain Ji Woo-han addressed her crew later that evening. She stood on the bridge looking at the faces of her people. They waited for her to speak. I will not tell you what to think about Jinho Kwon, she said. I will not tell you he is a hero or a monster. You must decide that for yourselves. But I will tell you this. He gave everything for us. For people he would never meet. For children not yet born. He chose to die alone in the darkness so we could live in the light. She looked around the bridge. The galaxy thinks they know what humans are now. They think they have seen our worst. But they are wrong. What they saw was our determination. Our willingness to do whatever is necessary. Our love for our own people. Her voice grew stronger. If that makes us monsters, then we are monsters. But we are monsters who protect our families. And I'm not ashamed of that. The crew was silent. Then slowly they began to nod. One by one they stood straighter. They had been ashamed before. Now they understood. This was humanity's strength. Not kindness. Not peace. But the absolute refusal to be victims. The Coalition Council reconvened 3 days later. Ambassador Tai-jin stood before them again. This time, human representatives from every colony world stood with him. If the Council wanted to judge humanity, they would judge all of them together. Admiral Kwon spoke first. We have reviewed the evidence. We have studied the history. We have consulted with experts from every species. He paused. The Reaper destroyed 43 worlds. He killed 30 million beings. These are facts. They cannot be ignored. We do not ignore them, Tai-jin said. We acknowledge what was done, but we also acknowledge why it was done. There are laws, Admiral Kwon continued. Laws of warfare, laws of civilization. The Reaper broke all of them. The sovereignty broke them first, Tai-jin replied, when they committed genocide. Where were your laws then? The council had no answer. A different council member spoke. She was the bird-like one who had seemed sympathetic before. "We face a dilemma, Ambassador. If we punish you, we make an enemy of humanity. Your species has shown us what you can do. We are not eager for war. But if we do not punish you," Admiral Kwan added, "we tell the galaxy that genocide can be answered with more genocide. That terror is acceptable if the cause is just. Where does it end?" Taejin met their eyes each in turn. "It ends here." Jinho Kwan was one soldier on one mission. The mission is complete. The sovereignty is gone. The species who supported them have learned their lesson. Human space is secure. There is no need for another Reaper. "How can we be sure?" someone asked. "Because we are telling you the truth now," Taejin said. "We are showing you what we are capable of. We are giving you a choice. Live in peace with humanity and we will be your allies, your friends, your partners in building a better galaxy." He paused. "Or make us your enemies and discover what else we have been preparing in secret." The threat was clear. So was the offer of peace. The council voted in private. The galaxy waited. Humans held their breath. When the council returned, Admiral Kwan looked tired.